one of the things that you got to figure out is how you present your business and what it looks like visually, and that's why we're talking photography today.
We are. We are talking how photography can either help or hurt your small business. And, we're sitting here with Rick, and I'll introduce you in a minute, Rick. But really, I laugh about photography because I try to do photography. I have the Canon 6D at home. I have 2 other DSLRs. I have the all the fancy little cameras that you can get, and I have all the lighting and all this other stuff, and I think, all right, I'm going to sit down, we're going to do this fabulous shot, and when I get it and I do it, I sit there and I go, that's great. Now I have to go back into Photoshop or Illustrator and start cleaning this up because I obviously don't know what I'm doing, right? So, Rick, you've been doing this for many years. I know you've got 40 years in business, multiple millions of dollars in revenue and assistance and all of this. This background with you, but today we're talking photography, right? And Bella Photography is your family business, and you do this for a living.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about Bella Photography and how that got started.
Well, we started about 25 years ago, and it sounds really odd to say it
Right.
now when I say it out loud, but we've been in Valparaiso for just over 20 years. And I always had a love for photography. My father did photographs, family photographs. I had a camera in my hand at a very young age. And so going through high school, I had a buddy whose father owned Dairy Rich ice cream. Do you remember Dairy Rich? And so junior year in high school, they got a new packaging. And I told my buddy, hey, tell your dad I could do those photos for him of the new product line. And so picked a Saturday, went in with some floodlights, put together the empty ice cream cartons then, of course, and did a photo shoot. And it was so much fun spending the day with some buddies and setting up the lights and taking the photos. And then later, seeing the actual photos on display on billboards, in magazines, and in ads, I think I was just absolutely hooked because it was like I created that image that is helping somebody sell their product. And ever since then, I always had a camera in my hand.
What kind of camera was it then?
It was a Pentax K1000
Jeez.
that a lot of people had back in those days.
Exactly. That was the nom de plume, man.
Film camera.
Yeah, it was film camera, and gosh, you remember how expensive it was to buy the film and
sure.
get it developed?
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, the purchase of the camera was just the beginning.
Right.
Plus, it was the scariness of the unknown. You took the photo, but there's no screen to look at on the back, right? There's no phone to look at to make sure you got it right. So you had to be kind of dead on with your exposure to make sure the shot would come out correctly.
Right.
And it was always a nervous time to go to pick up the developed film to see how you did. You know?
Yeah, so if you're like me, I've had to call back a client and actually go reshoot because
everybody's done that.
You love that part, right? It's like, well, I need a few more shots, but what you're saying is I messed up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, back in the day, that when you had that, a lot of photographers would do 2 camera shoots. Hey, all right, do this one and I'll do this one. Because there was stuff you just didn't know. You could have had a speck on your lens.
Sure.
None of that would happen. But if you did it twice, I did that. I was helping a guy do the Griffith little kid cheerleaders, right? Mm-hmm. And we took every one of them at, I don't know, probably 200 little cheerleaders. And then the photos were bad. We had to go to everybody's house and shoot it in their front yards.
Oh.
So, I mean, this is almost like having like PTSD
Right.
even talking about that, because that took weeks to get done.
Yes.
But anyways, I do interject. Rick, what's so cool about being a photographer?
I think that creating something and using our artistic skills is the most fun. You're actually creating something, a moment in time that will never be captured again. When we do large events, of course, and documenting something for a large corporation so that they can enjoy it and use it for future marketing is really a kick. It's kind of fun to do it. And we just really enjoy it. And we always shoot with multiple cameras, so that's a really good point. Redundancy is certainly important in what we do.
What kind do you have?
I have a Canon 6D.
That's it. That's the one you use.
That's the one I use.
You don't have a backup Nikon or anything?
I have a backup Sony. I forget what kind it is, and then
mirrorless or the old kind.
no, it's one of the newer ones.
The Alpha. Yeah, the Alpha's
What it is, but that tells you how often I use it, right? I bought that one more for the video aspect because the Canon 6D, if you shoot video in it, you can actually hear the internal motor through the microphone. So
then you know it's running.
you know it's running, but then you know then you're buying all kinds of other equipment to go with it for the microphone side. Yeah.
You mentioned marketing and photography. In presenting your small businesses, which is who we were talking to, what's the biggest mistake they make with their photos?
What I've found is that just not taking time to schedule the photo shoot and to put the resources into it to get great images. There's always, they're scared about the budget. How much is this going to cost? What do I need to buy? I've had some restaurants that were scared to make the food because they knew they just had to throw it away afterwards. Well, if you're worrying about a $5 dish, that's maybe you shouldn't be doing a photo shoot. So I think just to getting over the stigma that they're going to spend some money and put the time toward it is the most important thing, and that's the biggest obstacle that I always see.
Go piggybacking off of that, right? So they're afraid to put the money out there. A lot of them will go out there and they'll buy stock photography and things like that. And when you sit down, some stock photography works really well.
Sure.
But if you are trying to sell who you are, your brand,
Right.
I don't think that comes across in a stock photo, right? So like everyone has I've used enough stock photography to know I'll literally be going through things and I'm like, that's stock,
Sure.
as you're looking at different things. And you can tell, but there's also other people that have seen that image on something else. I personally believe that you have to show your personality through those photos. You have to really understand who you are. And those people that try to, save $1 here or there, sometimes actually end up hurting their brand.
They do.
The perception of their business, right?
Yep.
What have you seen on your end when you walk in? Obviously, you're doing these amazing photos, and for everyone out there, go to bellaphotographs.com. I was looking at your food pictures the other day, and made me want to go buy raspberries. The one picture. So I mean, they're unbelievable. They just jump off the page. If you buy stock photography, there's no personality there. So what do you see when you walk into a company and they're using stock photography and then you present them with, we'll call it the raspberry picture, and what do they say?
Most of them just say that they didn't realize that their photos could look that way.
Right.
That's the biggest surprise.
Yeah.
They think they have to go with the stock image, but if they're selling a product and using a stock image and in the background are these beautiful mountains in Colorado, that really doesn't work well for the region.
Right.
So you have to be realistic in what you're portraying in your marketing.
Right.
And if you're selling a widget, it really should be a photo of your widget. And that's kind of what we teach and show. We don't also want to get too fancy with the photos. You mentioned some Mexican food photos you saw. Those are really true to life.
Right.
Those are that is what your plate is going to look like when it comes to your table. We don't want to get too fancy so that when someone gets their plate, they can tell the waitress, hey, this doesn't look like the photo in the menu, or this doesn't look like what was online. So it's important to portray what you're offering. Just be honest.
Right. So you're not calling any fast food companies out based
No,
off
I'm
of
not.
that.
I'm not. But there are, when you make a ABC hamburger and the cheese is melting beautifully on the side,
Right.
yeah, it's not going to look like that when you unwrap it from the paper
Of course.
that you got out of the bag, okay? And people accept that.
Right.
They know you're showing them what the product really is, but we have to package it, we have to put it in a bag and serve it to you or get it to you. It's going to be a little different. But as consumers, we've accepted that.
Adriana Alvarez is a student at PNW, and she is the producer of our podcast.
Oh.
Some people are watching this. Can you go to photographs.com,
Right.
and put up these food. You know, I started 4 hours ago, and I'm ready to go eat. This is not helping, especially this Mexican food dish at the top. But you've got some meat cuts. I mean, you're not going to order that, and it's going to come looking exactly like that. But
Well, that was served at a event. That was something offered at an event. The corn photograph is real corn.
that's like
The Mexican
Mexican corn, right?
right?
Yeah.
It's elote, right?
Elote, yeah.
The Mexican dish at the top is a real dish from a very popular local restaurant. That's Pepe's.
That looks like a Pepe's dish, and
Right.
that's the best Pepe's dish
Right.
I've ever seen. If you just go down a little bit, like maybe 3/4 of the page down there, you'll be able to see the Pepe's dish. And I guess this is, Matt and I are like both amateur, just clumsy photographers. But man, the lighting on these food dishes, how do you get that?
Well, the lighting is the most important thing in taking photographs. Photography, that's the definition of photography, is capturing light.
Right.
That's all we're doing is capturing the light and the reflections. So it's really important to light the products so that they're bright and cheerful looking and there's no dark shadows. That by far is one of the things that do-it-yourself photographers, restaurant owners, or any kind of product really, they try to do it themselves, but without proper lighting, it's just not going to look right.
So, Matt, we're talking about mastering local marketing. Much of Matt's expertise is on social media and digital marketing. I always love when he sends me a text of, "Hey, man, I got like $1.70 per 1,000 for these people," and he's all excited about it, right?
Sure.
But when I say, you brought Rick in here, Rick's a local elected official too, but I'm thinking, gosh, we're going to talk about photography. I'm thinking, oh, well, they don't need it in newspapers anymore. And, most of what we do on our TV side is video. I mean, gosh,
Right.
do you even need photography anymore as everything has gone digital? And I already know the answer to that. It's actually probably more important, right?
It is. It is. When people want to go and support or looking to buy something, they're going to go first online. They're going to go to social media. They're going to go to online sources. You're right. Newspapers have changed over the years. We don't see a lot of marketing going on for small business in newspapers. But for the most part, you're going to look at social media. You're going to trust your friends and family to post pictures of things that they've bought and enjoyed. And so, yes, it's really important. And the old adage about a picture is worth 1,000 words, it really is. Because if we were at a restaurant, let's say, and I'm reading about the steak that they're offering, and I would say, hey, take a look, read this and see what you think. It may sound good, but in fact, it could just say, wow, look at this photo of this steak. That's all that has to be said. Your mind will look at it and say, wow, that does look really great. Look at that baked potato with it, and you get a salad. It tells the whole story just in a quick image. And we like learning through imagery. We always have as humans. So an image can tell you a lot more than the best copy that you can do for a product.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think our eyes are trained to go towards images
Absolutely.
first over text. And when you can provide that steak or whatever, I was laughing. I was out to a restaurant probably 2 weeks ago, and the waitress came up to me and said, "What do you want to eat?" I haven't looked at the menu. I opened it up. There was a picture right there. I said, "That." I mean, I just
There you go.
I pointed. I said, "That. That's what I want,"
Right.
and that's what I got.
Sure.
And I was perfectly content. It looked
Yep.
just like the photo. There's real value there. The other thing is frequency of using photos at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you had newspapers in the past, the idea was you may not advertise in a newspaper every single day, but when it comes to social and your website and all of this, you're constantly putting content out there.
Right.
So you need imagery, and you need quality imagery, not imagery that doesn't necessarily work real well with what your brand stands for, but you're seeing stuff all the time, right? If you don't have that imagery there ready to go, you're scrounging for content at that point.
Plus, too, we're a 24/7 society, so imagery online is available anytime someone wants to look at it. It could be 3 in the morning, it could be noon. It doesn't matter. If your imagery is there and it's well documented, you're getting advertising without even knowing it.
Right.
Yeah.
I turned my mic off so
it's
that I
on.
could cough, but instead I just made a bunch of noise, which was way worse than that anyways. Once
Amateur.
again, I have to bring this up when the sirens go off. We are on the campus of Purdue Northwest on two of the most busy roads in America. We're right at the bottom of Lake Michigan. It's a beautiful area. And one of the things that I've noticed lately, I've got a buddy who comes on here regularly and announces games for us and stuff. He regularly hires photographers now to go out and do professional shoots of his houses that he is listing. He used to do them by himself. And I got to say that it's double or tripled the quality of having a professional photographer come out. How has, specifically for the real estate industry, how has that evolved over the last 10 years?
It has a lot because people are shopping online. You no longer really get with a realtor and spend 3 days driving around 2 different counties looking at a variety of houses that may or may not appeal to you. You do some pre-selection first, and then you tell the realtor, I want to go see these 3 homes because I already checked them out online. I get a tour of the whole house. I got to see all the photographs, and I think this is what we're looking for. And so it certainly has changed a lot. And now we're even buying cars online. Look at Carvana. They're not going to post ugly photos of cars. They want to post the cars in the best light. No pun intended.
They have the best
Right?
photo editing too, by the way.
Well, sure.
You get there and
Right.
I mean, how do they get that sparkle? That didn't happen. That was added, but
Well, sometimes you can. So
so like here we are on my business. I service 100 businesses. Some of them are restaurants, and yes, they hire. I could go to Doc's Barbecue, and he hired a professional photographer he brought in there. But many of them aren't necessarily that visual. Got HVAC, I got a home builder, we have laundromats, that kind of stuff. How about these, I guess, less romantic businesses that are nuts and bolts? How can they benefit from professional photography?
well, again, a photo, if it's worth 1,000 words, why don't we use some photos to tell their story? If you're a home builder, if you lay tile, those you can capture images in a creative way to make the business attractive and to show that, hey, this company really knows what they're doing. Look at these images. Look at these workers putting up this house or roofing or whatever the case is. So I think that every business, large and small, need great imagery. It is absolutely critical in today's world. There are 65,000 photos taken every second. Think about that. So 200 and some thousand were taken just when I said it.
Yeah, that's just my wife.
Every second. Well, we're taking on average 20 a day,
Yeah,
humans.
right.
So that's a lot of photographs.
Wait a second. The average human's taking 20 photos a day?
That's right. That's right.
We're falling behind, Jim.
Yep.
I'm telling you.
So,
90% of U.S. adults have a smartphone. Every smartphone has a camera. That's a lot
and
of
they're
cameras.
getting better.
Oh, they
I
are,
mean, you can
absolutely.
still tell the
Sure.
difference between DSLR and an iPhone.
You can,
photo.
and you really can't compare a small lens like this on your phone compared to
Right.
what I might use for a photo shoot. You know?
So, a lot of what we talk about is your online presence. And most businesses that would be listening their first online presence, their website.
Sure.
And you can tell when you go to somebody's website if they've hired someone or not. Can you tell? That's my point.
I can always tell, but of course that's
No,
in my
I can
area.
tell too.
Yeah.
And like I'm
Sure.
redesigning ours in the next couple of months, and I'm glad we're having this discussion because I was kind of like, well, maybe I'll take the photos and this and that. And I'm like, no, that's too much pressure.
Sure.
And that's like Hanson, you got to take 100 to get one shot.
True.
Yeah.
But so for the average person that has 3 locations or 3 HVACs or whatever it might be, you know, they're looking to redo their website. Where do they start with the photography in that progression?
Well, I would first talk to their web designer to see what kind of website that's going to be. Is it a product catalog? Are they selling things on the website? Are they just telling a story about their business? I work closely with a lot of marketing firms, of course, and provide imagery for that. And the most important thing is to find out what they want to use the photos for, in what media are they going to be used for, and put together a shot list of what's really needed to tell their story. Some businesses, and we do this often and it's so much fun, we'll just have a half day or a full day rate and we'll go to a business and spend the entire day with them and just snap away.
Yeah.
Document what their company does on a given day from a variety of point of views and angles to tell their story. And then at the end of the day, we say, okay, we got 1,200 photographs for you. You can put them in a folder and have them throughout the next year for all your social media posts, for your advertising, and we try to capture everything for them. That is a great way to get into imagery for your small business.
That's actually a great idea.
Yeah. I mean, everybody that is listening to this or watching is going, man, you know, if I had great photos, I could
Right.
really make my website pop.
Right.
And then they wind up going and getting the stock photos or putting a cartoonish thing up
Right.
there or whatever
Yeah.
just to fill it in. But you can tell when it pops. You know, the bigger companies. I mean, I had watched the IU basketball game last night. If you're listening later, it's probably not even basketball season. They showed that Wendy's commercial. I probably saw it 20 times because I didn't want to leave the game. And they had this beautiful shot of the just a camera shot. It wasn't a video shot of the burger and the cheese and the pickles
Sure.
and the tomatoes. And I can still see it in my head.
We're
And
talking
I'm
about
like,
it, right.
Yes, I'm like
Right.
still, and I'm
Look at the
starving.
impressions, right.
Now I'm getting even more hungrier. You know what I mean?
Right.
But anyways, this
Yeah.
is interesting.
So, kind of wrapping things up, what if somebody was looking for a photographer, small business looking for a photographer? What are some of the things they should look for?
Well, you want to hire a photographer that does that type of work. If you're hiring a wedding photographer to do your marketing photos, may not be a good idea. Sure,
bring
they
in
can use a
DJ.
camera. But kind of check out their websites for sure to see if they do that kind of photography. And then don't be afraid to interview them. Give them a call and just ask some good questions. You know, what kind of equipment do you use? Are you going to shoot my photos with a cell phone, or do you have good equipment? And what does that look like? You can ask the photographer how the images are handled. Do I get full rights to the photos? Do we share the rights? How does that work?
Where they store
Very
'em.
important, right?
Yeah.
How are they delivered to the client? So I would just ask some really good questions and do some interviews.
Right.
You can certainly tell from a photographer's website, as you can see there, what they're all about.
Hey, this is the Mastering Local Marketing podcast. There's plenty of questions that we could ask Rick Bella here, including his stances politically and in terms of economic development, because he's an elected town councilman in Maryville. But if you want to get in touch with you personally, what's the best way to do it?
Really, just give us a call, 219-736-5217, or really visit the website where you can contact us through that, which is bellaphotographs.com.
Sounds good. Yeah, and don't go there with an empty stomach is all I have to say.
Yeah.
Or not liking your house, because there's all these beautiful pictures of
know.
houses
I saw
here.
those too.
Yeah,
Real estate,
exactly.
yeah.
I'm like, first of all, I have never cut my lawn ever in the history of looking like you're making these lawns look. So to sell your house, you got to hire the professional landscaper to come out and cut back and forth and give a Wrigley Field look to it. And then you get to hire the professional photographer. And then you get to hire the website developer. and then you might make some money on your website.
There you go.
So here's a question for you. Do you really think that a lawnmower did that?
Is that really? Is that? I don't know, man. I mean, that seems like a trick question right now.
I know he's
That
good.
Yeah, that might have had a little extra put into it. All right. So not only do you have to know how to take the photo, you got to know how to edit them.
Right. How to cut grass. In post.
See, politician all the way.
Yep, it's all good.
All right, close us out, my friend.
All right, so that is, we are, mastering local marketing. Our guest, Rick Bella, thank you for being with us today.
Sure,
I think
my
we've
pleasure.
learned a few things, and please go check out his website and see what the images, I mean, they're amazing. So,
Oh, thank you.
Again, photography creates a mood.
It does.
And we've got to make sure that your small business is getting that right mood out there and that you're not actually hurting your company. So we will see you on the flip side, and thanks for listening today.
Thank you.